Why does science work? What do I mean by that? You see, we take chemistry and biology, and especially physics, for granted. Science has given us incredible inventions and insights into the universe and the way that nature works.
One major problem discussing science with theists is that, almost inevitably, they'll attempt to redefine something before the debate starts in order to corner their opponent into defending a position they don't hold. Typical straw man argument. Either that or they really don't understand science at all. Or both. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. Now, I'll admit, I'm not exactly a mathematician, but I know enough about logic and reason to see through this fellow's argument, which, and if you know me, you know I don't say this lightly, is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
Consider physics for a moment. Lying behind physics, the more physics we do, the deeper we peer into the solar system and into the fundamentals of the universe, we discover these incredibly beautiful mathematical equations powering physics, the laws of physics that describe how our universe works. Everything from the orbit of electrons to the formation of galaxies and stars and so on and so forth. And incredibly beautiful equations. In fact, Einstein talked about a beauty in the mathematical equations that power our universe.
Beauty is a matter of subjective perspective. One person's beautiful could be another person's ho-hum, or they're ugly, or they're very frustrating. Like I said, I'm no mathematician, and sometimes I wish I were, but it's hard to find beauty in something that I often find confounding, at least once you get into the realm of things like calculus and such. But suppose we do find beauty in such things. And, oh my, how nifty is not an argument, it's a statement of opinion. I look at the way the universe functions, and I see something utilitarian, not beautiful. So where does that leave us?
Now that raises a question though. Why is it that mathematics and physics fit so perfectly well together? Why do numbers plug so well into the laws of physics?
One thing you'll hopefully notice is that he isn't going to say what this means. Math fits so perfectly well with physics. What is he trying to get at? He never really says.
But what's the problem? Well, here's the problem. If you're an atheist, what is mathematics? What are numbers? You see, if you're an atheist, you have to recognize that numbers don't really exist, right? Numbers were just something invented by Mesopotamian goat herders sometime around the 2nd millennium BC to keep track of how many sheep and goats they had. They're just a kind of human counting system.
Well, yeah. Just as letters exist to describe the sounds we employ in our language, numbers exist to represent quantities. But that which they represent are not dependent upon our labeling systems, nor do the labels require something actually existing or being employed at the moment in order to be used.
But if that's the case, how is it that those things invented all those years ago, just a human invention, can describe everything from the curvature of space-time to the interior geometry of black holes or the probabilistic equations powering quantum physics? It makes absolutely no sense.
It only makes no sense if you don't have any idea what you're talking about. First of all, math is not just numbers all by themselves. It's also equations. Second, equations describe. They don't dictate. Math was designed to explain what was studied, observed, and tested. It exists as a way of communicating concepts to others just as much as it does for coming up with answers. But those answers are study, not command.
How is it that maths and physics fit so well together? Did those goat herders just get very, very lucky? Or is something else going on?
Lucky? How are they lucky? They didn't hit on some miraculous hidden code when they learned to count past 21 with their socks and pants off.
And in fact, a very famous mathematician called Eugene Wigner, in the middle of the 20th century, wrote a groundbreaking paper called The Unreasonable Effectiveness of Mathematics.
And while Wigner does use words like miracle to describe mathematics, he does not cite a deity as being responsible, much less a specific one. And even if he is inclined to reach toward the supernatural through a feeling of awe and wonder, that's hardly proof nor evidence of anything but his emotional reaction. I'm sure a lot of things through human history have seemed miraculous and mysterious, right up until science found a quite rational and natural explanation for them.
A contemporary astrophysicist called Paul Davies put it this way. He said, this is one of the deepest mysteries at the heart of science. Why is physics shadowed by mathematical reality? Why does theoretical physics work?
So it's a mystery, therefore God? For just how many other things through history has God turned out to be a placeholder explanation until science figured out what was really going on? This attempt to win by default may have worked a long time ago, but newsflash, we live in a modern, science-dependent world, and people have woken up. It's impossible to ignore any longer that God is a lousy explanation for the universe.
I think as an atheist, there is simply no answer to that question. You simply have to go, well, it just does, which I'm afraid is nonsense and is actually a step outside of science and into irrationality. As a Christian, on the other hand, I can say, well, there's a very good reason why numbers and mathematics and all of these things plug together, because numbers and mathematics are the product of mind. And lying behind the universe is not the dumb knocking together of atoms. The ultimate reality is not physical. The ultimate reality is God and His Spirit, and God is the ultimate mind.
But again, minds only created the representation system. In fact, your buddy Eugene Wigner quite explicitly describes mathematics as a language. It's not math that is the product of a mind. It's understanding it and writing it down that is truly the result of brain working. And your simple Christian explanation takes far, far more for granted. God done it is no explanation at all without first proving a God is real. And it doesn't matter what you can say as a Christian. That doesn't make it true. That makes it, look at what I get to believe, and defuckery with whether it has any basis in fact.
And mathematics exists in the mind of God, the God who created the world of numbers, and mathematics and abstract objects is the same God who called galaxies and particles and quantum physics and planets and stars and you and I into existence. And that means we can study the universe using our minds that God gave us to uncover these beautiful phenomena there in physics. But at the same time, we don't just get to know about the artist and his works. If Christianity is true...
Wait a sec. What was that again?
If Christianity is true...
So you're saying you don't know? This isn't an argument. It's an advertisement.
Especially what it says about Jesus, then the one who created mathematics and the cosmos and you and I then took on human flesh and stepped into history so that we can not just know about the Creator, we can get to meet Him personally.
We go from you can't explain numbers to God's doing a meet and greet rather quickly. Dude Boy's video is just under 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and in that time, he manages to say that math class equals God without any reasonable steps in between. Either he's an idiot or a con man, and I don't think he's got the talent to pull off a scam like that, or intelligent enough to realize it won't work on anybody with an IQ above room temperature range Fahrenheit, where I think his own tends to reside. Is it actually an insult if you're just stating the unflattering obvious? I'm asking for a friend. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. Ignorance killed the cat. Curiosity was framed.